Ah, filler. The inescapable clingy friend of the anime industry. Some people view it as a scourge on the medium, some see it as a necessity for long-running anime, and others just view it as, the more the merrier. I'm somewhere between the first and second of those viewpoints, but lean slightly towards the first because I'd rather studios take a break and let the mangaka whose work they're adapting get ahead, in order to ensure a higher quality anime in the long run, rather than go for a cash grab in a second anime-only season. I'm looking at you, Black Butler 2 and Tokyo Ghoul Route A. However, if you're animating a series that basically has guaranteed longevity, and there are no breaks in sight because of a series' overwhelming popularity, or if the studio execs you work for overestimated how much people like a series, and booked way too long of a run, there isn't much those working on the anime can do but to create filler. So the idea that they just shouldn't, sometimes isn't an option, and in general isn't very easy for every studio. However, there lies more complications in the filler phenomenon aside from just whether or not a studio has to do it. There are also a few issues on the side of the viewer in regards to this, and even some exceptions. So the first potential solution for someone who's watching any series who encounters filler is just to skip it. Sounds easy enough, but there are a few problems with that. Firstly, if you're a new anime watcher, there might be a good chance you'll have no idea what filler is, unless you talk to a longtime fan of the anime beforehand. When I first started watching anime with Dragon Ball Z in the first season of Naruto, knowing basically nothing about manga, I had no idea what filler was, and I couldn't tell the difference between a filler arc and a canon arc. I ended up watching a lot of pointless shit I didn't need to watch, but I was lucky enough not to find any of those filler bad enough to drop either series. And as I reached the end of the Naruto anime canon in the first season, I started noticing a pattern with all the arcs to follow and ended up discovering what filler actually was, after I searched it up. So thankfully I didn't have this same issue with Shippuden. Secondly, if you're caught up to a series, skipping filler isn't an option. Instead, you just have to wait it out. And trust me, that gets very tedious, because I caught up to Naruto Shippuden, the filler hell eventually forced me to just complete the manga where the anime left off. And I'm sure fans of a lot of different long-running series have probably made the switch to manga due to being stuck in a long filler arc. But if you're watching a series that has since ended, like Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, or Bleach, you're in luck, because you can skip all the filler and complete the anime. Although at the moment, if you want the full story of Bleach, you gotta read the Bleach manga after the anime, as is the case with other anime. But as far as watching anime itself goes, an old or completed series means you won't have to wait through the filler, and you can just blaze through the anime. But if you're watching an ongoing series, you're shit out of luck, because the risk of a filler arc remains. Although more studios these days are opting to split their anime into seasons rather than run indefinitely, a new trend which I'm very thankful for. However, certain series can get away with filler depending on the nature of the work being adapted. For instance, in Gintama, while there is a very small percentage of filler in the first place, Gintama being largely a comedy manga means most of its anime filler is just acceptable as its canon material. Because Gintama thrives on a mostly episodic format with a lot of crazy, ridiculous, self-aware humor, unless you searched up a guide beforehand, even as a seasoned anime veteran, you can hardly tell the difference between what's canon and what isn't in the Gintama anime. It also helps that Sunrise never tried to delve into a serious filler arc like other long-running animes, because they would be seriously handicapped in terms of what they could do, given the restrictions of needing to be within canon manga material. And that's the restriction that makes a lot of fillers in a lot of long-running series pretty unbearable. Adopting comedy arcs means that they can basically do anything, because the nature of Gintama comedy is random and crazy, and in a lot of instances unpredictable, with a lot of fourth wall breaking, and even a few inconsistencies here and there just for a laugh. But because the comedy section of Gintama doesn't at all try to be consistent, and usually doesn't take itself too seriously, Sunrise can get away with almost anything with their filler. In fact, my favorite comedy episode is the episode where a Shinsengumi spy, Yamazaki, infiltrates the Joe Ishishi, and meets a Jackie Chan lookalike going on missions with him. The entire second half of that episode is filler, and I couldn't tell nor did I know until someone told me over a year later. But despite the fact that it's filler, I still find it just as hilarious, and I still consider it my favorite comedy bit in the show. There are other series that blur the line between anime filler and canon material, because of just how early they diverted from the canon material, or just how the series is being produced. Soul Eater, a 51 episode series, diverted from Atsushi Okubo's manga as early as episode 17, with Studio Bones mixing in their own ideas with Okubo's from the manga. Yet it still remains a fan favorite anime. The first Fullmetal Alchemist adaptation also diverted from Hiromu Arakawa's manga early due to a lack of canon material, and took their own route in wrapping up the series, which a lot of fans view as just as good, or sometimes even better, than the fully canon 2009 adaptation. Akame ga Kill basically ditches the manga's material right from the get-go, and the Trigun anime has several differences from the manga. These anime are not considered pointless shows you should just ignore, but must-watches for any anime fans, and most agree that these adaptations hold their own in quality against the original material. Even Dragon Ball has inspired debate over canonicity, Well, firstly, sometimes Toei included a few good things that Toriyama didn't in his manga, such as giving Yamcha a big victory over Raccoon, giving Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo an arc to themselves, or making Vegeta a significant player in Cell's eventual defeat to Gohan, and making a good movie about Goku's father Bardock. But Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z don't have much of a debate going on as to what's canon and what isn't, due to Toriyama's manga running at the same time it was airing. But Dragon Ball Super has thrown a wrench into the traditional system of manga to anime canonicity in Shonen Jump series. Dragon Ball Super started with 2 movies in which Akira Toriyama contributed to and approved of himself. Both of these while the Dragon Ball Z manga was officially over. Then a series which has included his designs and his ideas, but basically Toriyama gave these movies a canon seal of approval, and a majority of the fandom has accepted these movies, as well as the series that follows them, as canon. There's also a running Dragon Ball Super manga by Toyotaro, which Toriyama selected himself, and he also helps with it. But it is actually always behind the anime and is considered by many to be a separate interpretation of the Dragon Ball Super story. So in a rare switch up of the roles, the manga is the one that's technically diverting from the source material, not the other way around. Or so many fans feel, while others feel that they're entirely separate, and neither is taking off the other. Finally, filler is sometimes unavoidable because while some studios separate fully canon arcs from fully filler arcs, other series have filler material interweaved into canon material, making it hard to separate and a lot of times hard to distinguish, unless you read the manga beforehand. The original Dragon Ball Z adaptation was notorious for doing this, and I've also heard that One Piece does the same thing. So the gist of what I'm saying is that whether or not you should or can avoid filler depends on the series in question, and you should also consider whether or not something even counts as filler due to how a series was adapted. Anyway, thanks for listening to my rambling. I hope the video was at all interesting. So if anyone watching gives enough of a shit about me or my stuff to follow me on Twitter, I made a Twitter. I'll link it in the description. I'll put it somewhere here in the video too. And also, if you're a fan of seeing someone terrified and you really want to see me play Outlast and fear for my life, subscribe if you haven't already so I can get to 100 subs and that can happen. Anyway, thank you for the continued support. Take care.